So, it's finally happening, huh? Dricus Du Plessis is defending the UFC middleweight championship against Israel Adesanya next Saturday at UFC 305. And this is a huge fight, man. And I think it's going to be extremely competitive, just as the title suggests. I've seen some crazy Israel Adesanya fans claiming that Izzy's going to make it look easy, but honestly, I don't think that's the case. Now, don't get me wrong. I can see why people say that. Besides the hype for Izzy, he's a great technical sniper and a fantastic striker overall. We all know Dricus is arguably the goofiest, weirdest striker on the feet. And it's entirely possible that Izzy could just snipe him in the early rounds and get a TKO. I'm not denying that. I just doubt it, you know what I'm saying? I'll elaborate more on this on a bit, but I just want to ask this question. Does Israel Adesanya really still want it? That's the big question in this fight. Often when a fighter wins the championship and they have a long reign, they have all that pressure, it becomes too much. Izzy has already achieved everything in the middleweight division, so motivation can be a huge factor in this fight. He might not just be as hungry as Dricus is. And look, man, one reason I don't think Izzy is just gonna snipe Dricus is that he doesn't have this crazy power that everyone is hyping up. Yes, he TKO'd Robert Whittaker, but Whittaker's chin is very questionable, let's be honest. He TKO'd Paulo Costa, but Costa's career has been pretty average, and he's lost most of his fights ever since that fight. And the knockout of Alex Pereira, Alex looked so skinny in that fight from all that weight cut he had to do. Now come on, man, his chin was compromised from fighting in the middleweight division. And another thing is, you shouldn't be sleeping on Dricus striking. We've seen him bulldoze his opponents before. Sure, his style might not be the prettiest, but it's effective because he's a bruiser. He brings that immediate pressure, and he's just a physical, intimidating middleweight overall. When he throws shots, he also puts everything into him. You can see him missing 5 punches, but he'll somehow land the 6th one. Izzy has never faced a fighter like Dricus. By that, I mean someone who's just gonna bite down on the mouthpiece and throw a bunch of punches. I don't think Dricus will give Izzy the time to download the data. He brings an insane amount of pressure, and Izzy has never fought a grappler like Dricus who uses submissions. What top 10 middleweight fighter has serious submission threat? And if there is one, Izzy hasn't fought him. And I've been saying this for a long time. The middleweight division has lacked elite grapplers for the last 6 years. Adesanya, Romero, Alex Pereira, they all have 0 submission wins. Whittaker hasn't submitted anyone in decades and has no submission wins in the UFC. The list goes on. Izzy's ground game is his weakness, not because of the lack of skill, but because of the distractions. He has to think defensively on the ground and also deal with the thought of this giant dude on top of him. Dricus' top control is really good, and let's not forget that he's huge for that weight class. I don't even know how he makes 185. The pure brute strength that he showed with that head and arm hip throw was beyond scary. Robert has never been manhandled like that in the middleweight division. Then to posture up and deliver those hard blows without fear of losing the position says a lot. After watching that, I honestly don't care how bad or awkward his stand-up looks. The brute strength that he has is something else. Like, who knocks out people with a jab? And I'm aware that Dricus was more wild against Sean because Sean wasn't finding counters, so it sounds like a nightmare matchup against Adesanya. Dricus wouldn't be as reckless because of the danger, and I believe he's going to start the fight wrestling heavy. This notion that Du Plessis is gonna fight Adesanya the same exact way he fought Strickland is asinine. With that advantage he has in the grappling department, and that's the thing that people forget. DDP's advantage lies in the game plan. I believe DDP messed up his game planning by taking it easy in the 1st and 2nd round against Sean Strickland. Check the post-fight press conference. But then you look at their game plan against Whittaker and it was literally a flawless execution. I'm telling you guys, don't sleep on Dricus. He's taken out a lot of people for a reason, but I will give Izzy his credit. He's still really technical. I think he needs to be more aggressive in this fight, and he can't be the one that's backing up in this fight, in my opinion, because the more he retreats, the more I feel like Dricus will be able to take him down. Izzy needs to be the aggressor, in my opinion. That should be his game plan. And from what it looks like, Izzy might be taking this approach since he put on some massive weight. This could be to help him get back up if he gets taken down, adding some extra muscle. But I also think it's gonna help him with his power. He probably wants more power, so I think he's gonna have to push Dricus back and fight like he did in the Kelvin Gastelum fight. Go for it and go for the knockout on this big ass dude. And I feel like if Izzy did this in his last fight, he would have won. I feel like if Izzy had just adjusted his approach mid-fight against Sean Strickland, he might have had a chance to turn things around and win. But it looked like in that fight he kind of gave up. I really hope he doesn't go with his pure technical strategy this time. Don't get me wrong, he could still win that way, but I don't think he's going to win if it does go that way. He needs to be aggressive and he needs to just knock out Dricus. Now, my only concern with that is Izzy getting taken down in the center of the cage, because that's when he has the hardest time getting back up. We've seen it time after time, like when Jan took him down, and the same thing with Alex Pereira. Now, don't get me wrong, Izzy is normally good at getting back on his feet when he's near the cage, but in the center of it, it's a different story. It's just not his strongest area. Look, overall, if Izzy doesn't get the knockout in the first 2 rounds, he's gonna go in cruise mode and throw leg kicks at range, while Dricus has good 5-round cardio with his high output and his smart game planning for each opponent, like when he has his hide guard against Robert Whittaker's blitz and disregarding Sean's pillow punches to throw high output and winning rounds with crafty takedowns. And we cannot forget that Dricus Du Plessis will come in with a well-crafted game plan, as he always does. His approach is risky, and I'm sure he'll focus heavily on wrestling. If the fight stays at the distance, Dricus might struggle a bit, but once he closes the gap, he's going to be incredibly aggressive. I can see him going all in with his ground and pound and looking for submissions. I actually think this fight is going to end up being similar to Izzy's fight with Gastelum, but this time I think Izzy is going to lose by TKO. But hey, I could be wrong. You never know. Izzy might catch Dricus with a long, loopy hook and change everything. It wouldn't surprise me at all. After all, this sport is unpredictable, and Izzy just has as much of a chance to win as Dricus. This fight is perfect in terms of hype, because we really don't know what's going to happen. But still, I'm kind of hoping Izzy loses though. I just don't like the guy, but I've got to admit, Izzy has a strong chance of winning too. Stylistically, he could definitely counter Dricus, but I still believe that Dricus has more ways to win. Anyways, I think Dricus takes this with a 2nd round TKO, but I do expect the fight to go back and forth a lot while we're watching. Eventually though, I see Izzy getting caught with something, whether it's from the takedown leading to ground and pound or a strike on the feet, and ultimately getting the finish. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And like always, guys, I'll see you guys on my next one.